besties, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Vanessa and today we are doing our October wrap up. This is my first wrap up on the channel and I know I'm a little late, but we are making it happen. We are making it happen. Now, remember when I said that in the fall I'm going to be reading so many fantasy books, I'm going to be in my fantasy bag? Your girl lied. Your girl lied. Because why did I check my Goodreads and I read 9 books for the month of October and 7 of them were fluffy romances. All fluffy romances. I only have 2 fantasies and they're at the end of the month. I read them at the end. So I don't know, maybe because it was still sunny out, maybe because the weather was still kind of crisp and like nice, I still was like in the summer vibes because yeah, we have 7 fluffy romances and only 2 fantasies. But since then, I've been reading more fantasies. So the next wrap-ups will include more fantasy books, thrillers. We'll have more of a variety, okay? So bear with your girl. Anyways, we're going to get started. So the first book that I read for the month of October was on Kindle Unlimited, and it's actually Ashes of You by Catherine Cole. In that book, we are following Hallie and Lawson. It's a single dad romance. So Hallie has had a very traumatic past. 5 years ago, something very traumatic happened to her, and Lawson is connected to that past. She is trying to rebuild. She's had to live with her brother for years to kind of get over the trauma, not really get over it, but it was the safest place for her to be at the time. And now she's trying to rebuild. She's trying to get back on her feet. So she decides to take a nanny position in the town where the traumatic event happened. And who's looking for a nanny? No one other than Mr. Lawson. He is the chief of police. He is a single dad of 3 boys. He has a really terrible relationship with his ex-wife and he is overwhelmed. Right now, him and his eldest son, they're butting heads a lot and he's trying to kind of like rebuild that relationship. So he thinks that the best way for him to do that is to spend more time with his sons instead of just like having to manage the house. So he hires a nanny to do the day-to-day, and in this way he can like focus on like spending time with them, connecting with them and all of that. And from there a beautiful romance starts and we see how everything unfolds, and it was really nice. I gave this a 4-star. Catherine Cowles does a really good job at making her characters like very like full people, and the emotions that you get from them is like really so good. I mean, you are going to have your heartstring pulled the entire time because her characters are usually tortured characters. They usually have tortured past. She also does, I think, romantic suspense. So there's usually some kind of intrigue going on, something that we're trying to figure out. There's danger lurking around. So it's always a good time with Catherine Cowles. I really like her books. I love this one. I really would recommend it. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so there's no reason for you not to pick it up and read it, okay? The next book for the month, and I'm looking at my Goodreads because like your girl's memory is gone. She does not remember anything. So I'm looking at my Goodreads to make sure that I'm giving you guys the right information. What's the next book that I read in order? Oh, the next book we had is Daydream. Now, Daydream is the 3rd book in an interconnected series for the Maple Hills series. So the first book is Icebreaker, the second book is Wildfire, and Daydream is the 3rd one. And in Daydream, we are following Henry and Hallie. Henry is a hockey player. He is now captain of the hockey team, and he is struggling with one subject and he's not doing so well. He's actually failing it, even though he's passing all his other classes and his GPA technically is not going to completely disintegrate from it. But the coach is putting a lot of pressure on him to do well because then as the captain, he sets a good standard for the other players. And Hallie is very studious. She does well for herself. And she's also working at a bookstore and she's trying to write a romance novel. Now, she finds out that Henry is struggling with that class and she took that class before or she's worked with that professor before, and so she knows what the professor is looking for. So Hallie is like a people pleaser. She likes to do stuff for people, so she offers to help tutor Henry into that class so that he can pass the class. And in return, Henry's like, well, he doesn't want to feel like he's one of the other people that's always using her. So he's like, you know what? You need more experience so that you can write your romance novel, because Hallie's been complaining that her romance novel is not going so well because she doesn't have the experiences to make the characters feel real. So he offers to take her out on dates, and then kind of like, not a real fake date, because they're not pretending to date to other people. People know what's going on, that he's just trying to help her get the dating experience that she hasn't had so that she can write the novel. And it's so beautiful. Now, don't get me wrong, I went into this book like really thinking I was going to absolutely love it. And I did love it, but not as much as I was expecting to. You know what I mean? Because when I was reading Icebreaker and Wildfire, let me know if you feel the same way. I was rushing through these books because I needed to get to Henry's book, because I felt like he was going to be the best character. And I feel like he wasn't exactly what I expected. Now, it was good in some other ways, like watching Holly be the people pleaser, the eldest daughter that takes care of everything. Listen, I could relate to Holly so much. I'm an eldest daughter. I do suffer from people pleasing. Like, I related to this girl so much. And then on the other hand, Henry, he's never diagnosed, but he has some neurodivergent traits that are going on, and the author does mention it. And a lot of the things that he struggles with, I noticed that I struggled with. So I even ended up having conversation with my therapist, like, hello, I am struggling with the same things with this character and some other characters that I've read for some other books. I think we need to figure something out, and we've been having those conversations. So this book, on some level, life-changing for me, but it still didn't give me the same feelings that I got for Wildfire. Like, it's like a 4, you know? It's a solid 4 out of 5, but it's definitely not as good as Wildfire in terms of like how giddy I felt when I was reading Wildfire. When I was reading Icebreaker, it was fun. It was good. It was very smutty. It was fine. I gave that one like a 3.5. Wildfire was like a 4.5 for me. I really, really enjoyed it. This was a 4. So really good still, like amazing, but just not as good as I was predicting. I thought this was going to be my 5 stars, but it's fine. It's okay, you know? So the next book that I read is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, and I read that in a vlog, so I'm not gonna like harp too much on it. You can see my thoughts in the vlog if you want to, but basically in this book we are following Naomi and Knox. Naomi is about to get married. She's having second thoughts. She gets a call from her sister Tina, her twin sister Tina, who is basically the spawn of Satan that everybody hates. And then her sister's like, please come and help me, but bring some money. I'm in trouble. I need your help. Even though she's not close with Tina, she's also a people pleaser, and she's here for everyone. So she decides to drop everything, including her wedding, runs out of there, and comes to the rescue to help Tina. But Tina is again tricking her. Tina steals all her money and runs away, but not before leaving her daughter behind. Naomi didn't even know that Tina had a daughter. So now she's stuck in town with no money, having to raise her twin sister's daughter. And Knox comes into play because he does not know that Tina had a twin sister. So when he meets Naomi, he's super rude to her and super mean to her. But then he finds out that she's not Tina, and he decides to help her in a very like aggressive manner. Like, he's helping her, but he's being rude to her. And he's like, I don't want a relationship. I don't want anything from you. I don't want to like you, but somehow I'm attracted to you. He was so grumpy and so rude. That's why for this book, as much as I loved Naomi and I loved Waylay, Tina's daughter, and I love all the other characters and I cannot wait to continue the series, I gave this book a 3.5 because, first of all, it was way too long, but second of all, Knox was not a good male character for me. I was like, you are rude. I'm sorry. You're helpful. You're doing all the acts of service and all of those things, but you are rude. And in the beginning, he was so lusty about everything. Like, I get it. It's a romance and it's spicy, but being so lusty, like his first interactions with her, other than hating her, was how much he was physically attracted to her, but then in a lustful way, and it was just too much. And then when he's not being rude to her, he's lusting after her. Yeah. And then it took towards the end of the book, like the end of the book, for him to like kind of become nicer. And by that point, I was like, I'm over you. You know what I mean? So it wasn't my favorite, but I do think it's a good read because I do feel like the other characters in the book, oh, and the series, I mean, are going to be really good. So I really like that. Let's see. So the next book that I read, also read it in the same vlog as Things We Never Got Over, is Love Unwritten, and it's another chunky book, and it took me basically the entire weekend to read both of these books. But on the other hand, I really love this one. We had a grumpy male character also in this one, but this one really worked. And these books were kind of opposite. So in this one, we're getting like kind of like a single mom because she's like the single parent in there, but this one is single dad, and that was really nice. So this one is the second book in an interconnected series. It is the Lakefront Billionaire series. You don't have to read the first one, but you can. I did enjoy it. It wasn't like groundbreaking. It was maybe like a 3.75 for me, but it was good enough. But this one I absolutely love. So in this one, we are following Ellie and Raphael. We're gonna say Rafa because that's how they call him. So Rafa is divorced. He has a very tenuous relationship with his ex-wife also because she's not present in his son's life. And he's been hurt, really hurt in the past, like from his parents and how everything unfolded with his parents, from his divorce and how everything unfolded on that end. Rafa is really feeling, he has low self-esteem. He is basically depressed, you know, and then also his son is sick. He has degenerative condition. He's not gonna get better. So he's also suffering because of that. And he's like really struggling because of that. So he hires Ellie, who used to be his son's Nico's music teacher, to become the nanny because once he realized that Nico started to get better, not from the condition, but when Nico got the diagnosis for his condition, he kind of shut down, and Ellie and music was what brought him back to life. So when Rafa realized that, he was like, okay, let's bring Ellie on as a nanny then, because Nico will benefit from it. Now, Ellie has her own past that she's dealing with and her own grief that she's dealing with because she used to be a music writer and things didn't go well in that department. So both characters are very tortured, and this book is long, but I feel like when you read the book, you fully understand why Lauren had to make it this long. Maybe it didn't need to be 600 pages, maybe 500 would have been okay. I do think 100 pages could have been taken out, but the characters were so beautiful, seeing their growth. And I love that the growth wasn't instant, because sometimes in books the guy will be so grumpy and then the next page he's like, I'm in love with you, and he's the nicest guy ever. No, it took Rafa time to heal. And then on her end, Ellie, it took her time also to open up, to trust herself, to get back to herself. The way the romance unfolded in this, the way they built their relationship, including Nico and the other characters, it was so beautiful. I love this book. I don't know how to explain it, but the emotions it drew out of me, this is a 4.5 for me. I can't believe I'm saying this because I didn't expect that coming from the other book, but this was a 4.5, and I'm even more excited to continue with the series with the third book because I do love the two characters that I feel like it's going to be about, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. So I would recommend this 4.5. The next book that I read, and this one was on Kindle Unlimited, so I don't have the copy for it, but it is the Wingman and the Vancouver Storm series. So the Wingman by Stephanie Archer is the third book in the standalone interconnected series, and it is a hockey romance. And in that book, we are following Hayden and Darcy. Hayden, Darcy, and Kit have been friends since college. They all met in college. Darcy and Hayden met first. They connected, they bonded over the fact that they loved the same book series. And then they went to a party, and I think Hayden introduced Darcy to Kit. And so Kit and Hayden went to high school together. They played hockey together. So they ended up forming this whole 3-person group of friends, but Kit and Darcy started dating. Now this is where it's kind of tricky and messy, okay? So it looked like Hayden and Darcy had an attraction immediately, but Darcy thought, oh, he's so handsome, he's a player, which Kit confirmed, so he's not going to be interested by me. And then Kit made his move. Darcy agreed to go out on a date with him, so Hayden thought, okay, she's not interested by me, she's interested with Kit. So move along, they remain all friends. 8 years later, Kit and Darcy break up after a very short engagement. And because they all good group of friends, Darcy decides to move in with Hayden while she's figuring out her life, while she finds her new apartment. And then Kit is also like, hey, Hayden, take care of her for me. Make sure she's okay while, we're dealing with this breakup. And you guys know what happens when you have forced proximity, okay? Things start to change, and we learn more about Kit and Darcy's relationship. And Darcy decides that she wants to become a player also. She doesn't want to get into a relationship, so she asks Hayden to help her, but instead he agrees, but really he's falling for her. So he kind of sabotages her attempts at becoming a player with other guys, and it's just a good time. I loved it. Stephanie Archer just knows how to write a man who is down bad. I will always, always, always. I mean, I'm saying this, I read like 2 books by the woman, but the bottom line is she does it so well. She does it so well. I love this book. It was a 4.5, 4.75. It was so good. I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. Hayden, chef's kiss. Watching both of them grow, watching Darcy come into herself, watching her like have more confidence, pursue her actual dreams, watching Hayden shed the layers that people have put on him and get out of that box that they had placed him in and become also more confident and pursue Darcy. So good. I was giggling, kicking my feet. Everything you can think about, this book is going to give you. And it's also very spicy, so if that's what you're into, this is a good book for that. If you're not into that, maybe skip that one. Maybe skip it because it's super spicy. Okay? You've been warned. All right. The next book that I read, and I'm telling you guys, more romance. But I think with Emily Henry, you get romance and a little bit of like women fiction, I guess. So maybe this one is going to be a little bit different. But the next book that I read is Emily Henry's Book Lovers, and this may be a 6 stars for me. Like, this was so good. I'm giving you guys a rating ahead of time because I don't know, this was amazing. So good. All right, so in this book we are following Nora and Charlie Lestra. I don't know. We're following Nora and Charlie. So Nora has her sister Libby, which they are both very close. However, for the past couple months, Nora has been feeling that Libby has been kind of distant, pulling away from her. So she's like, what is going on with my sister? So they are out together, spending time together, when Libby says, you know what? I am so tired. You're not doing anything for the month of August. Nora is a literary agent. She's like, you're not doing anything for the month of August. How about we take a vacation and we go somewhere so that we can bond and like do things for ourselves, and we can have time together before I give birth to my 3rd child, because she's currently pregnant and she already has 2 kids. And Nora's not excited about it because she's like, we don't do vacations. We love New York. We're New Yorkers. Like, where are we going? This is the best place to be in. But because she's trying to reconnect with her sister and she wants to get that bond back because they are basically all they have in the world, it's only the 2 of them, she agrees to go on vacation. And they go to this small town where nothing happens. And then from there, she realizes that her arch nemesis, Charlie, is also there, and he is basically there for reasons that she's gonna try and figure out. But I don't want to give too much because I feel like a lot of this book hinges on you discovering like why each characters are in that town at the time that they are and like what's going on. It was so good. It was so amazing. The banter in this book was amazing. And I'm not just talking about the banter between Charlie and Nora, which was so good. I mean, their emails back and forth, their text messages back and forth, amazing. But it wasn't just that. It was also the banter between her and her sister, the banter between her and the other people in the town. It was so good. We read so many small town romances where the person goes to a small town, meets this very attractive person who's so down to earth, who has her priorities all straight, or he has his priorities all straight about the importance of like family and friendship, integrity, and blah blah blah. And then they fall in love, and then they break up with the city person that they were in a relationship with because that person is cold and that person is like, you know, evil and only thinks about money and it's too ambitious. And I love how she addressed that and she gives us the other side of it. And like, hey, like the person that we're describing, the other person, there's probably a reason why they are the way they are. And I don't know, I don't even know how to describe this book fully because I feel like the impact, the prologue, from the prologue I was like hooked, so hooked. And then the epilogue in this book, so beautiful. This entire book, I can't. 6 stars. This is now like my favorite Emily Henry book. I know this is not popular because a lot of people, it's either beach read or happy place, but this is officially now my favorite Emily Henry book. I haven't read Happy Place yet, so this may change, but I doubt it. I doubt it. This was amazing, guys. Amazing. And then we are finally getting some fantasy books, So the next book that I read in the month of October is Belladonna by Adalyn Grace. Again, such an amazing book, so surprising, but I absolutely love this book. So in this book, we're following Signa, who is orphaned very early on, like months, I think like within months of being, even days of being born. And so she is now being sent to different guardians to take care of her. She's first sent to her grandmother passes away, she's sent to a new guardian, that guardian passes away, and she moves on. And wherever she goes, people are dying, okay? Whether it is the guardian or someone in the household. Now, initially, people are excited to take her in because she's super rich. She has a big inheritance, and whoever becomes her guardian, they get a small sum of money to take care of her. So people are usually willing when they find out, oh, they're next in line. But as soon as they realize people start dying around them, then they're like, we don't want her anymore. Either because they're dead, so they can't take care of her and she needs to move on, or someone around them dies and they're like, you bring death wherever you go, you need to go. So because of that, Signa is upset. She's very upset. She has a secret that most people don't know. She can actually see death and she can actually see ghosts and other spirits. And so she's upset with death because she's like, you're ruining my life. Every single place I settle, you take someone away, and then now I get blamed for it, and then I have to be shipped somewhere else. So when this story is unfolding, she is at her uncle's house, the Hawthorns, and as soon as she arrives, she finds out someone is sick in the family and someone is dying, and she's like, you are not gonna do this to me again, Mr. Death. You are not going to kill someone. I'm only 6 months away from getting my inheritance. I'm gonna be a rich lady. I'm gonna be able to get married and go to balls and tea parties and do the most. You're not ruining this for me. I'm not gonna let you kill that person. I am going to figure it out and stay there until I can get my inheritance. And we also start to realize that maybe those deaths are not as simple. Maybe there is an agenda there. Maybe there's a plot twist there. So a lot of mystery, a lot of things to discover, and it was so good. I didn't expect that. It's a fantasy book with a murder mystery plot, like so good, like a little bit of a thriller, a little bit. It was so good. And Death, yes, Death had me giggling. Death had me on a chokehold. This man did not have a body, okay? He did not have a body. He was basically this little shadowy figure, and I was swooning. Swooning at what? I don't know. But every single time Death was on that page, your girl was twirling her hair. She was giggling. She was kicking her feet because Death had me swooning, okay? When he would call her little bird, Why did I think that was so cute? Why do I love the nickname Little Bird now? It's so good. No, this was good. This was so good. And then also we even had a little bit of a love triangle for a little bit there. And I was very worried. I was worried about the love triangle because let's just say I loved both people. And I was like, there's no way you can choose. I feel like if you don't go with this person, you're losing this aspect. But if you go with this person, you're losing this other aspect. And I was so torn. And towards the end of it, I was like, no, 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 no. I refuse to choose. I refuse to choose. Now, in the end, things ended up working out kind of like the way I wanted. I suspected the way things were gonna work out. Like I kind of called it, and that's what happened. And I loved it. So even though I knew what was gonna happen, I was so happy that things played out the way I wanted. Now, in terms of like the who did it, your girl was way off. Okay, way off. And I love that also. And plus, this is like gothic vibe, Bridgerton vibe, like, you know, Regency Victorian time. So it also had all of those elements that I really loved. It felt very atmospheric. Like the whole time you're reading the book, I felt like there were like fog all over me, and like it was beautiful. 4.5, 4.75 for this book. Cannot wait to get into the second book in the series. I'm going to be reading this really soon. I know it because there's no way. This month was really good for me. I mean, so good. I had so many good reads. The next book that I read is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I hope that's how you pronounce it. I mean, do you see those tabs? That should let you know what the rating for this book is going to be. This book had me on a chokehold. Like the whole time, I don't think I've ever read a fantasy book like this, where every chapter, something was getting revealed, and yet I still didn't know anything. I don't know how that's possible. I literally would be gasping every chapter like, and then yet I still did not know, and there was more to learn, and there was more to figure out, and the book ended, and yet I still have like 500 more questions left. And no wonder this is such a revered book, because wow, simply wow. So in this book, we're following Laya and Elias. They are both in different side of the story when the story begins. So Laya is a scholar. Her people are being oppressed by the marshals, and we're gonna learn why this whole thing happened, like why the oppression happened. But when the story starts, Laya's brother gets taken away by the marshals to prison, and her grandparents are killed, and she runs away because to, you know, try to save her life. And now she's trying to get help from the group of people that are part of the resistance to kind of free her brother. Now, Elias is actually a marshal, and he is being trained to become a mask, which is kind of like the highest level of the military group for the marshals. And he doesn't want to be a mask. Actually, he's trying to figure out how does he leave the school where he's at, where he's learning to be a marshal, a mask, and how does he run away. And a lot of things will unfold from there that will set those two characters on a path where they are going to merge and meet. But it takes so long for it to happen. Like, you get halfway through the book, I think, before the characters actually meet. And even when they meet, you're not really sure like where this is going. It was so good. Like I said, the chapters were short. Every chapter is either a big reveal happen or it ends on a cliffhanger. And it was like, you could not stop turning the pages. You could not, it was impossible to stop reading this book. It took everything out of me not to pick up the second book right away. I love this book. I need to continue the series. The writing was beautiful. This was amazing. This is 5 stars. Obviously, you guys can tell by the way I'm raving about this book. This is a 5-star read. So 2 5 stars? Do we have 2 5 stars in this? Yeah, we do. We have 2 5 stars in this month. So lucky me. And so many 4 stars and 4.5s. I was so lucky this month. I love this. Now, this is why I'm not going to be too disappointed that my last book for the month of October is actually Wildcat, part of the Wildcat hockey series by Becca Jenshack. I think that's how you pronounce it, Jenshack. And that one was like a middle of the road book for me. I give it a 3-star, but I'm not too disappointed because reading so many good books, I needed a palate cleanser in between two fantasy books. You guys already know how it is, so it did the job for me. So in this book, we are following Leo and Scarlett. Scarlett is back in town. She was living in London. She's back in her hometown after a heartbreak, and she's decided to not continue with her studies. So she's trying to figure out how she's going to tell her parents that her, relationship ended. She no longer is going to school. She wants to pursue her dream, which is doing photography. And basically, she kind of feels like she's bumming it out right now. Like that there's not much going on with her. She's back to living at her parents' house. So she's trying to figure out how can she break the news to them that this is why basically she's back in town. It's because her life has fallen apart. And she's working at the bar and, not doing a good job at it when she ends up having a one-night stand with this guy without knowing that this guy is actually a famous hockey player, and his name is Leo. And to make matters worse, Leo is playing for the team that her dad coaches. So she's like, this is bad. I don't think that we can date because my dad is your coach. This is not gonna go well. I'm already a disappointment to them because of, my career choice and my life choices. I can't add that to it. And of course, Leo's like, I don't know if this is a good idea also, because how is this gonna look? Blah, 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 blah. Honestly, there wasn't much to it, to be honest, because it didn't feel like their issues were real issues. The issues got resolved very easily. It really just felt like she was playing hard to get for the sake of playing hard to get. Even her main reason for playing hard to get was that Leo, I guess, doesn't call right away or something like that. I don't know. Listen, it was a good one. It was a good book. I gave it a 3. It's not something that I'm going to remember. I'm not going to think about it. I can barely remember it right now talking to you guys about it. I do think that it was a good start. I do feel like the other characters that are mentioned in the first book, because it's a interconnected series, there's more books. I think there's 5 books in the series. Some of the characters that are mentioned in the first book are really intriguing, so I want to read their books. Like the second book and third book sound like they're gonna be really good, but the first one, you guys know how I feel about one night stands. It needs to be done well. When you do one night stand, if you cannot get the tension back, the whole book is like whatever. It just feels like a book that is written just for the sake of you having a lot of smut. It was smutty. There wasn't a lot of it because she did play hard to get a lot in the beginning. But either way, I felt like the tension was broken so early that by that point I was like, I know you guys getting together. It's a romance book. There's really nothing to it. So it was just fine. It was fine. It was the perfect book to get me out of fantasy mode, made me forget a little bit about the characters that were in An Ember in the Ashes. And so this way I could move on and go ahead and read the Atlas 6, because coming from this and going straight into the Atlas 6, that's what I did. I finished this and I went straight into the Atlas 6 and I was like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. So I had to pause. I read this little fluffy romance. It got me back, and then I was able to go back and pick up the Atlas 6 again. So anyways, so these were all the books that I read for the month of October. Let me know which book you already read and which one you enjoyed. Let me know which book you thought was interesting and you would like to read. And let me know how you guys like wrap-ups. If you guys like those type of videos, I will do more of them. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye!